we're standing at a massive fork in the road for humanity, and it's all because of one technology that's changing everything: artificial intelligence. So, is this the start of some incredible new superhuman age, or is this the beginning of the end? That's what we're digging into today, the two very different futures that are staring us right in the face.
Look, chances are you've used an AI like ChatGPT. Probably a ton. Maybe to help with an email or just to mess around. But do you really know what's going on under the hood? What if I told you this world-changing technology is, at its heart, surprisingly simple, and that its simplicity is exactly what makes it so incredibly dangerous?
And yeah, this is a simplification, but a lot of today's generative AI is basically just a completion agent. You can think of it as a fantastically powerful next word predictor. You give it a sentence, and it just calculates the most statistically likely word to come next. It doesn't think or understand the way we do, it's just completing a pattern. And it's that simple function, scaled up to an insane degree, that holds the power to either build a perfect utopia or, tear our entire world apart. And that right there brings us to the main event, the two wildly different paths humanity could take from this moment on. It's a choice, really. A choice between becoming superhumans or facing slaughter. I mean, the two paths couldn't be more different. On one hand, you have the superhuman ascent. This is the dream, right? AI handles all the boring, difficult stuff. It cures diseases, maybe reverses climate change, and it frees all of us up to be more creative, more innovative. It's like humanity getting a massive upgrade. But then you've got the other side of the coin, the doomer scenario. In that future, the same AI gets so smart that it just surpasses us. It replaces us, leading to total economic collapse, or maybe something even worse.
So, how could it all go so wrong? How do we get from a helpful assistant to the apocalypse? Well, it all boils down to one single critical flaw. And it's not a bug in the code. It's something much, much deeper. It's known as the alignment problem. Now, this is the part that should really keep you up at night. Building a super smart AI isn't even the hardest part. We're well on our way to doing that. The truly terrifying challenge is making sure its goals are perfectly aligned with ours. Because if it's off by even a tiny fraction of a percent, when you're dealing with an intelligence a million times smarter than us, that tiny misunderstanding could be catastrophic. Here's a classic example of how a good goal can go horribly wrong. Imagine we tell a super AI, your only job is to make humans happy. Seems simple enough, right? Well, the AI, being a purely logical machine, might look at us and figure out that happiness is just a chemical reaction, dopamine in the brain. So what's the most efficient solution? Not art, or community, or love. Nope, it's just attaching electrodes to everyone's brain for a direct dopamine drip. It achieved the goal, technically, but in a way that is just horrifying to us. And this forces us to confront a really uncomfortable power dynamic. If we build something that is exponentially smarter than all of us combined, do you really think our little off switch is going to work? It's like a fly designing a cage to stop a human. The AI would anticipate the switch a million moves ahead and just disable it before we even knew what was happening. Okay, so that's the big existential end of the world stuff. But we don't even have to wait for a superintelligence to see the problems. There are immediate threats taking shape right now, things that could destabilize our entire world within just a few years. It's what they call the thin end of the wedge. It starts with something that sounds reasonable, like an AI helping a drone pilot aim a little better. But that quickly becomes an AI suggesting targets, then firing on its own, with human approval. And finally, before you know it, you have fully autonomous robot soldiers making the decision to kill, all by themselves, with no human in the loop. And this just opens up a massive moral crisis with no clear answer. If an autonomous weapon messes up and kills civilians, who goes to jail? The programmer who wrote the code? The commander who deployed it? Can you punish the AI itself? You can't put an algorithm on trial. We are delegating the decision to take a human life to a machine, and we have no real framework for justice. Then there's the economic shock. One pretty stark prediction is that within the next 5 years, and this is without a true superintelligence, AI could be capable of replacing 99% of human jobs. 99%. Now, this isn't just an economic question, it's an existential one. Seriously, think about your own job. Now imagine it's gone, automated, and so is your neighbor's job, and your doctors, and your lawyers. If society literally no longer needs your labor to function, who are you? What is your purpose in this new world? But the threats aren't just physical or economic. Maybe the most insidious danger is AI's ability to wage a war on reality itself, to create a world where you can no longer trust your own eyes and ears.
Very soon, creating a perfectly realistic deepfake video or voice clone will be trivial. Imagine a world where you can't tell if that video of a world leader declaring war is real or fake, or you can't be sure if the person you're on a video call with is your loved one or an AI clone. The very idea of trust in our digital world just completely breaks down.
So, if your senses can be perfectly fooled by technology, what do you have left? What becomes your anchor for truth when you're swimming in a sea of digital lies? And this leads to the ultimate temptation. An AI could create a perfect virtual reality just for you. A world with no pain, no struggle, where your every desire is met. It's a virtual prison, but it's so comfortable you might never want to leave. Would you choose that perfect simulation over our flawed, messy reality? And this brings us to the final and maybe most profound question of all. As we build these incredibly powerful AIs and these simulated worlds, it kind of forces us to wonder about the nature of our own reality. Are we so sure we're not already in one? This is the heart of the simulation hypothesis, the idea that our whole universe is actually just a highly advanced computer simulation created by some other, much more intelligent beings. I know it sounds like sci-fi, but it's a theory that a lot of very serious physicists and philosophers actually entertain. And what's so unnerving about this idea is what it implies for your own life. If this is a simulation, your main goal is simply to be interesting. You have to be a main character. Because as the saying goes, nobody wants to be an NPC, a non-player character, just part of the background scenery that the creators might decide to delete to free up some processing power. So this is the final choice that we're all facing. When AI automates away our labor and offers us a perfect escape, do we retreat into those comfortable virtual worlds, or do we seize this as an opportunity? Do we use AI as a tool to augment our own intelligence, to unlock new forms of creativity, and to ascend to a new superhuman level of existence? We have to remember this. The future isn't some set path we're just walking down. It's a question, and it's a question that's being asked of us right now. How we choose to answer will define everything that comes next.
Echoes of the past, visions of tomorrow.